Hi, I'm Danny Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Pen Voice. I am joined today by Frédéric Choisel, who is an artist and is going to tell us a little bit about his work, as well as Gallery City in Burlingame. Frédéric, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So the gallery in Burlingame is a great asset to our community. So tell us a little bit about Gallery City in Burlingame.
I was part of the roster of the artists at the very beginning when the gallery opened in 2012. So I met the owner, Andra Norris, 6 months before at a frame shop, where I had one of the clients who wanted a large abstract painting to be framed. And I was coming from New York because I'd been living 2 years prior to that. And I was moving back to the Bay Area. And so the painting was framed, and I wanted to see it at the gallery, and there was a lot of people there. And I was actually going to take the painting with me, put it in my car and leave. Instead of that, just open it up so a lot of people could see it. And Andra was there, and she looked at it. Apparently she liked it. And 6 months later, she called me back and said, I'm starting this gallery, and I need some artists. I really like your work, and can you be part of it? And that's how it happened. So
how many artists are currently, or how many artists on average tend to show their work
at the gallery? Well, right now, I'm not sure exactly the amount. I think there's about more than 20, I think. But the roster changed also.
Okay.
At the beginning, there was less people, I think, and then she got very selective and more selective. And she had 3 openings with introduction, she called them. So I think it's evolving, it's changing. It's a new gallery. So
and that's the great thing about galleries. You can go and visit and enjoy the work, and then you can also make a trip 60 days later, and you'll see something new.
Yeah,
that's always
totally.
refreshing.
Every time, exactly. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your work.
Well, I'm pretty much doing abstract work right now, but I start doing very realistic work in 2004, 2005. I was influenced by European artists of the 16th, 17th, 18th century. I was doing reproduction at that time, so it was really realistic work, influenced by Zurbarán, by a very important Dutch or Spanish painter. So I was doing something very realistic at this time, and I think I move away from that and then do something much more abstract right now.
And do you typically, what's your medium? It's canvas and oil?
Oil,
okay.
Yes, I work mostly on oil. I do also some print, printing like monotype or monoprint, but mostly I would say 80% of my work is on oil. So
getting back to the gallery, how does the owner sort of choose the artist? Is it typically that she wants to make sure that there's a grouping of varied artists who are showing in different mediums? There could be sculpture, it could be canvas.
Yes, there's photographer there as well, so it's just not all painting. I think there's probably a sculpture as well. I think Andra find a way to find people that she likes. I think it's very important that she doesn't try to please everyone or be too commercial, so to speak, but she's trying to find what she really likes, because then she can connect with the artist much better. The artists feeling empowered by it. They feel, okay, well, that's interesting, because the relationship between an artist and the owner of a gallery is actually very important.
Right, and I would imagine the relationship between the artist and the community is very important, because showing at a gallery in New York might be a very different experience than showing a gallery on, say, our peninsula. Totally. Because your community who's visiting the gallery is going to be a very different community.
Yes, I know she had also some children coming to the gallery, and I think this is great to have children, because children in relationship to art, they have very different relationship that we have. Our relationship as an adult usually is very intellectual, very thoughtful, and we are so jittery by so many things, and our attention span is so minimum right now. But children, they are curious and they want to touch something. I have Andra sent me a photograph of her daughter in front of a relatively tall painting, and her daughter, she wanted to touch the work, and actually I like that.
Right. Well, I think that speaks to your work, thinking that from an abstract standpoint, that people do actually think there's dimension to it.
Exactly.
Because that means that something is popping out
Right.
from the painting,
Yeah.
and that's what they're feeling,
Exactly.
is this dimensional
Yes.
feeling
Yes.
to the painting.
Because
So I
everything
think-
we're looking at a computer now, everything is flat. And kind of not even two-dimensional somehow. So it's
Right.
so electronic, and which is, it's nice in some ways too. But I think it's good for children that the tomato is not growing in a supermarket,
Right.
but it's actually growing in the trees. And I think that's the same thing with the painting. You say, oh, the painting actually, there's a canvas, there's a physicality of it. There's
Right.
something very sensual about it
Well, I
that
think-
they can relate to.
And I think that's why we want to do a program to encourage people to visit their local galleries and those in very metropolitan communities as well, because we want to make sure that people are still touching and visualizing and seeing art in its original form, and not, as you said, through a Google search or through search
Right.
on the internet or through another photograph of a museum
Yes.
or a gallery somewhere. That galleries should not be intimidating. They are there to show people's work.
Yes,
And
yes.
I may have a very different opinion and impression of a work than you might, and,
Of course.
and we have to teach everyone that that's a comforting thing, and that's wonderful, and it shouldn't be intimidating.
Yes, yes.
So,
right.
what inspires you to do? So you're painting abstract, but then you said there's a little bit more, that you're doing a little bit more reality.
Well, I'm trying not to be too specific about things. I mean, the line between abstraction and abstraction is very vague for me, and has always been a little bit of a discovery of trying to stay and do something still very realistic, and also be able to do something very abstract.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was uncomfortable at the beginning because I thought the gallery needed to have sort of set, okay, you are doing this or you're doing that. You cannot do both.
Got it.
And when I talked to Andra right away, she said, no, this is okay. This is okay if your background is really realistic and you move into abstraction. I needed to break the line, basically. So that's the story of what I had to do for me, but for someone else may be a different story. But
So how do you see things? I mean, do you see me as an individual and then it comes as an abstract? Or when you're painting, is it an abstract that's just based on crazy colors and shapes?
I see, for example, this table and there's two things for me, the shape and color immediately. So I can just actually take photograph, always a camera with me. So I take a lot of photographs. That's something I told kids always to do. It's just photograph what you see, and don't think about it. Don't think as a photograph, but thinking as a reference for something else you're going to do. You might do sculpture or painting or photograph, whatever it is, but it's an information, and then you collect those information, and then I make series of something, and then a project emerge from that. So it could be this cup here, or it could be in the peninsula. For me, was the influence of the fog, for example. I know nobody likes the fog in San Francisco, but I feel
Other than
like
photographers.
I love fog. I love fog. It's kind of hazy, so to say, and
Provides a lot of color contrast.
yes, it just. It's the opposite of what you see on television right now. Everything is so sharp, but that's more mystical and I kind of interesting. So I could have this.
So
in front.
when you see images and you're walking down the street, do you automatically focus on something and say, that's what my next inspiration is?
No. It's more like it's a process. It's like I throw things, but I'm not sure where it's going. The process is collection, and then after the collection, you organize yourself, and maybe the project might come up from that, or it might take a week. You get very inspired and you start to work right away, or it might take a year. I started a new project, a painting project from photographs that I did in New York.
Well, and
2 years
Frédéric,
ago.
we are out of time, but I think those principles can apply to any one of us at any time in all of our lives. So thank you so much for telling us about your work and also about the gallery in Burlingame, Gallery City. We'll see all of you next time on Penn Voice.